pleased to be joined now by the president of National Football Scouting, Jeff Foster. You know, the NFL Network guys get all the credit for their NFL Combine coverage. These are the guys rolling up their sleeves and getting everything prepared for this annual NFL event. Jeff, thanks for joining us, first of all. And I know we were talking a little bit about when they actually give you access to Lucas Oil Stadium. My question, dovetailing off of that, how much people power are you as a group to get this thing off the ground and humming like a well-oiled machine for the week plus that you're there?
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, guys. Always enjoy visiting with you. And yeah, we're ready to go. Um, in terms of numbers, we have 5 full-time staff here, including myself, and that's who operates both the scouting service and the combine. And then once we get started, we'll start having our event staff, which is about 20 people. They'll start arriving this week. And then really we use about 150 employees of different clubs. So coaches, scouts, administrators, player engagement people to help us operate the event once the players arrive and we get starting. So the combine truly is a co-op for all 32 teams.
So we're sitting here on a Tuesday, the week before. Even us, we're going to be down there we get there Sunday night, ready for the week. But when do the executives, coaches, scouts, when does the NFL do the football, finger quotes, when do the football guys start showing up en masse?
Well, the first player interviews start on Monday night. I would think that they're all in town by then. Some will start arriving on Sunday, but I would say the bulk of the football people arrive on Monday. And as you know, for those first couple of days, a lot of different departments from the league as well as from the clubs are having some of their group meetings kind of in and around the combine events.
So, Jeff, I imagine with each passing year, you guys take input from the 32 member clubs just in terms of operation, flow of the different events and items that are on everybody's schedule, whether it's player interviews, workouts, and you get it. Maybe also you take input from players and agents too. I'm not sure. I'm asking, how much do you kind of do a comprehensive review? I mean, you guys have done this several years. It runs really well, but you're always looking to be as perfect as you can be. How much input do you take, and how much have you implemented over the years from some of that input?
Yeah, thank you. A lot of the changes that we make are really based on the feedback that we receive. Player experience is certainly our focus. We do ask each player as they're departing to complete a survey for us. And from that survey, it helps us design better meals for them, better sleeping situations, better schedules, things of that nature. So we certainly take feedback from the players. Also, sometimes their agents will provide feedback as well. And then we also have individual meetings with different clubs. We have different groups. So we have a medical advisory committee, which is made up of a handful of athletic trainers and team physicians and league officials on the medical side. So they help us throughout the year to improve really the efficiency of the medical process, which also leads to a better player experience, better data collected. And then from the football side, we have a couple of different committees. We have a performance advisory committee. We have a board of directors. And then on our scouting side, we have some executive committee members. Again, all members of different departments of NFL clubs. And throughout the year, at different touch points, we'll ask them for their feedback on the event. The combine is interesting. It's really important for about 10 or 12 days out of the year. And then the rest of the year, everybody wants to forget about it. So we try to collect the information that we can and implement those to improve the event, not only for the players, but also for the club personnel who are there evaluating.
Well, we know that you break it down into position groups and that kind of thing, and different players arrive differently. But how soon, how early and when do the players arrive, and how busy are they once they get there? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so the first player groups will start arriving on Sunday. So typically our early arrival guys, which are guys arriving from west of Denver, they'll come in a night early just so that it's a long travel day. We can get them started the next morning early on the medical exams. So the first full player groups, which will be the defensive line, linebackers, and the kickers. They will come in. They'll all be in on Monday, and then the other three sets of days of position groups will arrive in the 3 consecutive days after that.
How long do they
their
stay?
schedules are much cleaner, much easier than what they used to be. But a couple of days of medical evaluations and team and then on to the on-field workouts, which are what the players and the fans really enjoy.
How long is each position group there? Does it vary, or is it all kind of uniform?
It varies now. So over the years, again, in an effort to make the players more efficient while they're here, we've customized some of the schedules. So while every player participates or has the opportunity to participate in each element, they happen in different orders and on different days. So the defensive players actually will be here 4 nights, 5 days, and the offensive players will be here on for 5 nights.
And then, Jeff, I know just about every personnel executive in the league will tell the public that the medical exams are the most important part of what they gather here on this week in Indianapolis. But this is a collective, collaborative effort because you have doctors, physicians, athletic trainers from all 32 teams participating in that process, right? Are there independent physicians too, or is it mostly team medical staff?
99% of them are team medical staff,
Yeah.
but we do have some specialists that come in. In different areas such as cardiac, spine, foot and ankle. Sometimes we'll have independent physicians that'll come in and serve as specialists to support our team physicians who are actually doing the examinations.
And then is it, I always find it fascinating that every year there seems to be a handful of players that are informed of some unbeknownst diagnosis. And sometimes they're serious, sometimes they're minor. Is that just because of the multi-layered nature of the exam process? It's almost like an athlete that's hoping to play in the NFL is getting a second, third, and sometimes fourth opinion.
Yeah, it's not so much the opinions, but to your point, it's a very in-depth analysis from a medical standpoint. I would say, when we were 22 years old, we never had this battery of tests done.
Yeah.
But again, it's important not only for their ability to participate in the NFL, but also for their health. So unfortunately, we do find things on occasion that a player didn't know they had. But again, it goes to their general health and their overall health as much as it does to their ability to play in football. And most of the time, they're things that are correctable. But that's certainly our goal, is to make sure that they're healthy and make sure the teams understand, what that health is for each player.
One of the other aspects of this is the personal interviews, and certainly it's a crapshoot for which team is going to be able to draft a guy, even to have the guy available when they pick. How does that protocol work for you guys with personal interview requests? Which players are going to be interviewed by which teams, and how many teams maximum can a player be interviewed by, if there is such? What are some of the rules that are interesting about getting a face-to-face interview with some of these guys?
Yeah, we give the players and the clubs 2 different opportunities to do interviews. So one is the formal setting. So each club has its own interview suite in the stadium, and they can select up to 45 players to do those 20-minute interviews. And again, those are private in the suite, and the clubs will have their own personnel in there. So they can select 45 total players. Then they can also participate in informal interviews. So each position group will have an opportunity to be in a lounge area with all 32 clubs. Each club has their own table, and then they can ask players to come over and do 15-minute informal interviews with them. And generally, that's more for position coaches, scouts, things of that nature, and then any player that they weren't able to include in their 45 formal interviews.
And then one more question about the medical, Jeff, because I know in April you guys have the medical rechecks. Can you I'm assuming the medical staff on hand is reduced in number significantly because there's far fewer players coming back for those. But is that pretty much an independent effort, or again, are select team physicians there to do the medical rechecks for you guys, and how big an operation is that, knowing the numbers of players that have to come back for that are significantly less?
Yeah, the rechecks are a much smaller event for us. Number one, because they're only specific to medical, but we're also only evaluating maybe one or two issues that were discovered either at the combine or perhaps a player came in with an injury from the season. So if they are elected to come back for the rechecks, the purpose of that really is just to see where they are in their recovery and rehab of an injury that they either came into the combine with, maybe they sustained at the combine, or that was discovered at the combine. So generally about 6 weeks later, we will bring those players back in. We'll do any necessary imaging, and then they'll have a quick exam with a team physician of just that individual body part or parts where there was a concern at the original combine. But those are all conducted by team physicians. So scaled down, you might have one athletic trainer and one team physician on hand from each team. And then it's pretty quick. They come in one day, they do the imaging if it's necessary, they do the exam the next day, and then generally the players are off and running to the next 30 visit from there.
So I know you've probably been asked this a gazillion times, but how many voices or who decides which 300 guys come in?
Well, we've really changed the selection process over the years, really in a goal with the effort of improving the selection process in general. I mean, it's really important to the 32 clubs that you have the right players here. So we give every team the opportunity to vote on the players. So all 32 teams and then National Football Scouting will vote on the players. We have 2 rounds. We do the seniors in early December, and we identify right around 200 players, seniors, that will come. And then we have to put another maybe 100 to 150 seniors kind of on a under consideration list while we wait for the underclassmen to declare. And then once the underclassmen have officially declared in mid-January, then we'll have a second round of voting just on those underclassmen, the seniors that were remaining on that under consideration list, and then any players that maybe had a special circumstance with eligibility or something of that nature. And then those players will help round out the remaining. Generally this year we're at 329, which 330 to 335 is really our max, just to be able to process all the players. So all 32 teams have the opportunity to be involved, and that's really what's most important because they're the ones evaluating.
Last one I've got for you, Jeff. We see sometimes players choosing to opt out of certain field tests. I would say the bench press is the one that more probably bypass than most. When does it get to a point where you maybe huddle up with clubs and say, hey, do we need to change bench press to some other field test? And if we do, what should it be? Do those kinds of conversations take place when you see non-participation reach a certain level?
Yeah, no question. I mean, we've certainly seen a decline, not only in bench press, but also in 3-cone and short shuttle. Now, 3-cone and short shuttle are at the end of a long workout. So sometimes we understand, fatigue comes into play there. And what we'll see is a lot of players starting to only do those events at their pro day, where they're more fresh and maybe they aren't doing the other drills. With bench press, we've actually seen a decline in players participating at their pro days as well. So it's definitely been a topic of conversation with the clubs, with our performance advisory group, just to see if there's other strength tests out there that we might be able to implement. What would be important to us is making sure that we have a strength test that is really a functional strength for football. As you guys know, bench press is a great training exercise, but in terms of testing, it's really a test of strength endurance, not explosiveness, which really explosiveness is much more important on the football field. So I think, moving forward, trying to find a test that might be more applicable to football is something that we'll look at. But as of right now, we're going to continue with bench press, and hopefully the participation increases here this year.
Jeff, we appreciate you carving out some time for us. I know you're going to be really, really busy over the next 10 days, so thanks for giving us a little time before you really shift gears and get get into the bulk of the combine. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. Look forward to seeing you out here.